Welcome in to Fishbowl Sports once again here on this Thursday evening here. LSU baseball is going to take on Texas A&M. LSU softball is going to take on Ole Miss as well. So, like I said before with the region, I have not left my seat. I have been pretty much uh, just anchoring it down here on Fishbowl Sports here. Bringing in Bear. Bear has been known to upset a couple on your favorite social media page, Fishbowl Sports. How you doing today, Bear?
I'm good, boss.
So, you wrote earlier today that you felt that LSU softball is making a turn for the better. We will get into that a little bit later on. But before we go into anything else here, let's talk about LSU baseball here. Talking about the 13 conference wins. Do you think that they can get there? I know they got this series against Texas A&M. Even if they win one game each series from here on out to the end of the season, do you and SEC tournament, do you think that they would have enough conference wins to get into there? Because D1 baseball hasn't won the last four in. How you feel about that?
I mean, we're halfway through the SEC conference season right now at 6-9 with 15 games. I
So,
just don't see it.
for them not to get in there, it's looking like they're gonna have to get a couple of like. Let me go pull up Warren Nolan here real quick because it's kind of like it's gonna track the live thing, right? And actually, Warren Nolan has actually updated their site here. They do have a little classic version of it, but I'm gonna get used to the new one because I kind of like it. It's a little more cleaner design than the older one. It's kind of like I kind of like this new design a little bit better. But old habits die hard for some people, so which is why I think they kept the classic look. But 23 and 15, 6 and 9 in the SEC right now. Live RPI tracking is 65. Well, it's got it at 65 on Warren Nolan. That's the live RPI. That's what it's got. Because it factors in all the other games. That's why I like the live one. Because it kind of, but the official one is what you said. Yeah. So I wouldn't take this Warren Nolan one for. It's a grain of salt. This is kind of like because it does compare all the midweek games and there's games played every single day in college baseball. So it's factoring all that stuff in when it goes to the live RPI. Anyway, to through the three-game series here, you got number 13 Texas A&M and I mean not number 13 RPI ranked 13 Texas A&M, number 7 ranked Texas A&M, 28 and 7 on the year. This is a big series for LSU, to put it simply, because you have to win this one after the disastrous weekend series against Ole Miss where you got swept. The only thing LSU won was the fight in the stands with the fan against Ole Miss, the LSU fan versus the Ole Miss fan. That's the only thing LSU won this weekend. Um, so you got New Orleans midweek game, and then you got the three-game series at Mississippi State right after that. Tough, a tough road. Bear, what you thinking here? I mean, they get them at home. LSU plays better at home than they do on the road, according to what their records show. Because they're 3 and 7 on the road, 17 and 8 at home. Do you think they can get at least one or two wins and maybe possibly upset A&M?
In this series, I think they may be able to steal the Sunday game.
So we know the fielding hasn't been great. There's been like times that it's been like, okay, like what's going on? Like, um, it was like kind of worrying against Northwestern State. I'm not gonna lie. It was because LSU committed three errors. They played not good. They were not a very well played baseball team on Tuesday night. They got the win due to a 3 run inning in the fifth inning on a Tuesday. and they were able to close it out. They didn't have to go bat again. Northwestern State batted, and it was 4-2 win for LSU there. LSU did out hit Northwestern State 9-5, but they had three errors. Is that gonna be the one that's gonna like they were the last four in the regional here? So is there? I'm trying to like think of a path here. We got 6 wins on the SEC for LSU this year. Let's say they grab one against A&M. So they grab one against Mississippi State. That's two. And let's say they get. Let's say if they just win one game from each series. They got A&M, Mississippi State, South Carolina, Georgia. That'd be four. Florida be five. So they're gonna have to find to get to that 13, that magical 13 number. You're almost having to sweep South Carolina, or take two against South Carolina and two against Florida, or two against
Yeah.
Georgia, or two against Mississippi State. What is the series that's most likely for LSU to take two out of those to get to? So yeah, that's what you're okay. But
They average like 5 or 6
yeah,
homers a
that's
game.
okay. Let me say this: if LSU wins two games against Texas A&M this series, do you think they'll get to 13? Let's say they get two wins this upcoming series.
If they win the two against AM, and then they win at least two against South Carolina, two against Florida, that's six.
Yeah.
That puts them
So,
at 12.
like, what would be your percentage? Like, if you're gonna like gauge a percentage of like A&M and like how much is it that you think they get to two wins?
About
20%. You're that low?
when you go through
Okay, so how important is that Friday night matchup for LSU just to get off to a good strong start? You think they got like what you so you're thinking let's see what the predictor predicts here because I think the predictor is I want to see what it's got. Okay.
17 home runs, 50 hold back, 351, 735. And you know, I think and you have Terrence Keeler, guys at the top with 298 Ks and 200 allowed 52 runs with a 260 opponent batting average, but 13.
Yeah, that's we know A&M's got a very formidable lineup for sure.
This is by far LSU's toughest challenge at SEC.
What Case and Evans is going to show up is a good question for this weekend. I think that's kind of the one that I think no one really knows the answer to. If he's on, I think
Well,
LSU's got a good shot. Like I think if he's playing his best ball pitching wise, if he's hitting his arm and he's hitting his spots, I think they can get a win against A&M if he's on. But the problem with LSU baseball team is they're not the same fielding team that they were a year ago. They're not. That thing has dipped down a lot, and the pitching hasn't quite
no,
been there itself
hasn't.
here. They have some
And
sparks with hitting at times. They have some sparks, but it's just like they come in bunches, like the eighth inning. Like they have these big late game, but they have to start them earlier. They have to get into the game a little bit earlier than they are currently doing, and this is a good. This isn't a good rebound game at all. Series for them. It was about like they need maybe the pressure of trying to win against Ole Miss, knowing what they had against them, win against them. So now maybe they can just relax and just play because we got nothing to lose at this point, basically. So to get it, go ahead.
well, 7 games, and after the 7th inning, the game was tied. One was actually tied at 8th, and in the defensive pitching.
Yeah, and then Saturday was just a disaster. 7 runs given up in the sixth here, and
Yeah, outing that same after the second inning, he retired 15. He ended up with 3 runs, 2 walks,
but
9
that's a
Ks.
good case in Evans. That's the good version. I think if you get him for A&M, I think he'll do pretty good. The problem with LSU's bullpen is his middle relievers position. Not necessarily, yeah,
And the
yeah, and
offense.
like it's just tough to win games when your first 2 games of the series you only score 5 runs. You can't win that many baseball games scoring 5 runs in 2 games. And to make it worse, it's only
So,
4 runs. Like
yeah,
LSU's like I mean they had 1 run against Tennessee on April 4th here. They haven't really had more than like a 10 run game until the Tennessee game was the last one time to do that, 16. So let's see what the predictor says, Bear. The predictor disagree.
runs in 3 games for against Ole Miss, 23, 94.
No, no.
So they gave up 20.
Yeah, that's so
Runs on you had 5 chances. They
I mean, you got to step up somewhere. That's the point that needs to happen here. So let's talk.
so if you want
I'm gonna go with the
to
predictor here.
go
I'm gonna
ahead.
bring up the predictor to see where it lies at. So predictor says, drum roll please. Okay. Predictor has LSU finishing at 14 and 16 in conference. It does have them getting to 14 wins. 34-22 record here. 4 and 12 on the
Interesting.
road, 27 and 10 at home. I wonder know who they got wins against here. Oh, interesting. 2 out of 3 against A&M. Midweek win against UNO. It's got them getting a 1 win against Mississippi State. It's got them losing the series though. Oh, that's the big kicker. Okay, South
Mm-hmm.
Carolina's got them with a sweep. Southeastern's got them with a midweek win, Tulane midweek win. It's got them getting swept by Georgia, and it's got them winning
Yeah,
2 out of 3 against
I
Florida.
was expecting
They
that
could
one.
lose this, like in this scenario right here. They could lose the series against Florida and get in, or lose the series against A&M and still have 13 wins. So one of those series, like to get to that 13, has to be the 2 out of 3 that we were talking about here. But that only happens if South Carolina's a sweep. That South Carolina series is a huge series, regardless of how like bad they are. They have to win that series completely all the way through. If they lose that series, there's no shot. I don't think at them getting the 13. If they get 1 win, and they would have to find it somewhere, and I don't see it happening there. So that is something to kind of keep an eye on as we go through this season here. So that is very interesting though. That I thought the predictor was looking at it that way compared to I'm surprised at the 2 out of 3 against A&M. I can see the 2 out of 3 against Florida. I thought that's kind of a
I
a
am
stretch
too.
there. Maybe I don't like pulling sweeps against teams because I think it's really hard to sweep any baseball team. It's very hard to win three straight games in baseball because there's so many different like outcomes that could. You're mostly going to get a 2 out of 3, being realistically speaking here. Um, so I think they would take 2 out of 3 against South Carolina. I just don't see them sweeping South Carolina. Oh, they're I mean they're a bad team, but have you seen who LSU's lost to in the midweek games? Uh,
I was going to say another interesting little tidbit. LSU went 2 for 11 in position in game one against Ole Miss.
so the series that everybody's going to look at and kind of shake their head of what could have been for LSU baseball this year is going to be that Vanderbilt series. That is the one that like when we're gonna look back on this 2026 season and say that Vanderbilt series is what may have cost them a chance here. And it may be that March 13th game, that opening SEC team, which is game here, the 12 to 13 loss that they had here. That 8 run to 5 and they gave up 9. They gave up three in the ninth inning of that game, and that's when they making them lose. And that might be what we all look back and be like, okay, that's what did us in, and it's going to be kind of hard to see here. I didn't know they had a series view thing. Interesting. I want to see how that looks. Oh, that's very interesting. Okay.
Strikeouts of 153.
Did not know that. You learn something new every day.
Yeah. Number 7 in the SEC in batting at 463.
Interesting. So, um,
Very
um,
interesting.
if they could steal 1 or 2 series in this upcoming like month, it's gonna be huge. It's gonna be because May 16th, the last game of the. We're 1 month away from the end of the season. This day, May 16th, the last game of the regular season.
Yeah, because they need to get all the wins they can because they're not beating Georgia. Georgia's going to
So let's
sweep.
look at the SEC standings real quick for baseball, just to kind of like see when because they're gonna have to win some games in the SEC tournament bracket. Um, for sure here if they don't get to the 13, which would probably, let's say if they end up at 12, which is kind of what we've kind of like narrowed them down to get around 12. I think they'll get to 12. At 13, it's kind of like you're kind of like really pinching it there at some points here because it's like, okay, let's look at their. So they're going to have the 16 seed and the 9 seed. Let's see where everybody's at right now. I'm kind of like how close this is and all that good jazz and stuff. So LSU.
Texas is 183
LSU is 1 game back
for
from
sure.
Vanderbilt at 7-8. Oklahoma 7-8. Tennessee is 7-8. Kentucky 7-8. Mississippi State 7-8. So you have 5 teams ahead of you at 7-8. Um, you're 1 game ahead of South Carolina. They're 5-10. You're 6-9. So to get up, if you take 2 out of 3 in this series, you're putting yourself at 8-9 in this upcoming week, and you got to hope Vanderbilt, Oklahoma, or like one of those 5 drop a series there. That way you can kind of get up into this higher part of the bracket here. Because you want to be as high as you possibly can, so you don't really have to mess with, how would you say, the,
What is the bottom
yeah, I
four
think it's the first
play?
day. Let's see how this bracket goes down. So right now you're only 2 spots ahead here. Yeah, the 11 through 16 play the first round. So you want to try to be that. You really want to try. No, not 11. My bad. 10th through 16 play. your that first round. So if you want to be the ninth seed, is what this is telling me. You want to be a nine seed and above. Well, never mind. That still plays first round. I keep finding random seeds. The way they have it outlaid is kind of weird. Be an eight seed at best here. If you want to be an eight seed, that's gonna get you. That's the lowest one I see. So eight seed is kind of the cutoff for this here. So to look at who is in eighth right now, let's go look at that real quick here. Currently got Georgia's leading the way. Texas, A&M, Florida, Alabama, Ole Miss, Auburn, Arkansas is currently in eighth. They're 8-7 right now. You're only 2 games back from there, so you're mathematically alive. So to look at who, but I mean, you can't really just focus on Arkansas. You do have Auburn there too at 8-7. You also got Ole Miss at 8-7. Alabama's at 8-7. The only of those teams, LSU has, uh, I mean, they got South Carolina. That's the gimme series in this one, but the rest of those four that you're looking at in the standings, they're like Florida's 9-6, Texas A&M 9-5, Georgia's 11-4. That's your three right there, and that Mississippi State series is definitely one to watch. That's probably the biggest one of this month, honestly. Probably even bigger than the A&M one because. But the worst part about that one is it's on the road. Well, that from April 24th to May 3rd is going to decide the rest of LSU season. Just from the standings perspective, because I think if they win both those series, I think they're gonna get into the NCAA tournament. Now, granted, this is getting really close. I really don't know where this is gonna end up landing at. If you look at RPI, which is not like a great, I mean, it's a great way of telling you where they're gonna be at. They're at 65. So looking at their, let's see what their impact games have. Let's see what they have. So I mean, so the teams ahead of LSU right now in RPI. If you are a LSU fan, you want the Cajuns to beat Troy this week. Troy is right ahead of LSU at 64. Purdue's at 63. Campbell's at 62. Southeastern Missouri is at 61. High Point's at 60. Citadel's at 59. And, so forth. So you want all those teams to lose games this week. Here, Arkansas State's at 47, which the Cajuns will play them, not this week, but next week. So, as an at-large team, you want to get in that top 40. You definitely want to be in a top 40 RPI ranking. You might even want to be, yeah, you want to be in the top 40 and actually win games. So if LSU does get that 13 and they're in that top 40, they're getting in. They're 25 spots back. So I mean, and they're playing tough RPI teams. Don't get me wrong; they're going to be playing some tough teams coming up here in this series here against A&M and all them. So that's definitely going to go up. But how high is it going to go up? I think is the question that we really don't have the answer to here. Team sheet RPI. Let's see what I'm trying to look at all this stuff here and just trying to see here. You have Ole Miss was the highest RPI team they played at 10 right now. And that was three straight losses. So you had your opportunity, and it just didn't work out for you. So
Mm-hmm.
let's see. I want to. Do they have the predicted one? I wonder. Yeah, okay. They have the RPI predicted team sheet. Let's see where they have
Yeah.
everybody kind of laying out at. Let's see. The predicted one that's LSU and RPI 39, which is in that top 40, which has them giving them wins. It has them giving 2 wins over Florida, which in the RPI predicted has them at 7. A&M at 21. Mississippi State at 20. It has them 2 out of 3, but it has them getting a 1 win over there. It has the Cajuns finishing at 48. So it's going to depend on, there's a lot going on. The Cajuns are going to be playing Coastal at the end. That's their last series of the year at home. So yeah, that's going to be, if you're an LSU fan, you want the Cajuns to win that one because that helps your case a lot better too. Even though you lost to the Cajuns in that midweek, that definitely all those teams that you lose to, you want them winning. depending on except conference foes. You want those teams that you lost in a non-conference to win because you don't really have to mess with them in the conference tournament and stuff. So it's a lot to break down. It's a lot to watch. So let's switch gears and talk about LSU softball. I'm tired of talking about
Yeah.
baseball right now. I'm tired of the, like I'm in a bad mood, man. It's just negative, bro. Like it's just like man, like okay, Bear. Look, go off on your 2 pages. What you got? No, I want to hear.
All good.
I want the fishbowl nation to know
All
what your two
good.
pages are. Go ahead. You have the floor.
So I was just kind of going through the lineup. I mean, Stanfield's 1 for 8, Pearson 0 for 9, Darrell's 0 for 6, Spot 2 for 12, but he had 2 home runs. Aaron went 3 for no, and his 360 average and his 60.
Okay. You got any more pages left, or that's you good? Okay. So LSU softball, they got 3 series left on the year. Ole Miss, Mississippi State, and Auburn to close out SEC play. You got Mac Neeson there in that midweek series on midweek game in April 28th. So Bear, you posted something positive on LSU softball. I know you've been very negative about them. They had a big series win against Arizona, who I thought they were going to lose to. I had
Yeah,
them beating the
I
Cajuns.
called a sweep.
Yeah. So what you thinking, Bear? Like Ole Miss, LSU Tiger Park. Uh, the LSU softball team has been um, they've struggled against elite pitching this year, but it's kind of like their RPI is very good. They're 5-12 against the top 25 in RPI. They're 6-2 against the RPI 26 through 50. Their strength of schedule is 7. Their RPI is 14. You look at this, like, if you blind react this, you wouldn't think they were Jekyll and Hyde, but they definitely have some Jekyll and Hyde moments here. Away, they're 7-5. Home, they're 21-5. So they definitely done better on the road recently, which I think has been a big push them because I mean at one point their road record was abysmal to say the least, but that might have been some leftover from that Clearwater Invitational thing that they played all those top ranked teams in and stuff. So because they did play, I think they had that Missouri series helped them out. I was trying to see what it was, and the South Carolina one as well. That one was a 2 win.
His first series victory at home this year.
So do you think though? Yeah, Ole
Played a
Miss
team
hasn't
that's
been
2 and
lighting it up
13.
either. So what you think? You think they'll get a sweep this weekend, or you feel like 2 out of 3? And give it up to Hebner though. No hitter against the Cajuns.
11 wins and 94 Ks.
She's gonna be pivotal in winning. Like getting deep in that tournament here.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm getting this weekend the most, it's ninth most triples and
So
pitchers.
overall for
So,
Mississippi State, they're 34. They're 34-11 this year for Mississippi State. Here, their RPI is 13. So you're gonna get some. They're playing A&M this week. For in softball this week. So looking ahead there, so that's a good RPI game for LSU softball, which they don't need any good RPI games. They're pretty good about where they're at. Ole Miss, like you mentioned, is 2-13 the SEC, but overall record is 27-18. Um, yeah, so I mean they've done well in the non-conference. This conference they've struggled immensely. So looking ahead to like looking at Ole Miss's RPI like records against opponents here. LSU is going to be in that 1 through 25 range, as let everybody know they're 2-13 against that. Ole Miss is. But everything above that, 26 through 50, they have winning records against everybody else here. 26 through 50, 3-1. 51 through 100s, 12-2. 101 through 200, 7-2. And their 201 plus RPI records, 3-0 on the year. So that is something to keep track of everything going on here. So that is something that Ole Miss, they've struggled against teams ranked in the top 25 RPIs. Kudos here to this thing on the road. They're 7-6 so far this season on the road. So uh, I think LSU
on the
takes two out
road.
of three. I'm just gonna go a little bit more. I'm more conservative than you are when making picks and stuff, but I think we're kind of like on the same page with LSU winning the series against Ole Miss here. So, anything else you got, Bear?
So 14 RPI. They also have the number 12. They have 7 ranked wins in the USA softball poll. They've won 11. One is in our let's see, 58 and 17 all time against Ole Miss and 29 and 8.
Yeah, that's it's not great, like it's um. So
Players batting over 360. Their pitching, uh, is 11 and 9.
yeah. So looking at ahead to the softball SEC tournament because it's literally right knocking on the doorstep here. Uh, if you're looking pretty good if you're let's see, I'm trying to see seven. I'm trying to see where the 10 seed's at. Let's see, is that 8 seed? Okay, the 9 seed you get to the next day. So that's where you want to be if you're in the SEC tournament. You're going to be at a 9 seed and above. It's even better if you're in the top 4 in the SEC because you won't have to play to the quarterfinals in that regard there. So looking at the standings currently for the SEC here, Oklahoma leads the way 13-2. Alabama's right behind them 12-3. Florida's 14-4. A&M's 11-4. Tennessee 12-6. Arkansas's and they're in 6 and 10-5. Texas 7. Georgia's 8. Mississippi State's 9. LSU is 10. So they're right there, right on the cusp of it. And they catch Ole Miss, and they also catch Mississippi State. So they're like two of the teams that are on toward the bottom part of this SEC conference um, standings. Yeah, it's the 6 and 9. Then right next up to is Georgia at 9-6. So big big difference kind of coming up through there. So I do believe that is kind of something to kind of look at with LSU softball. I think they got a good chance. They got a big opportunity this week to really move up in that conference. So I think that is something that we need to like look at when we're going down the road here and seeing how these games play out. Because if they could put themselves in a good position there and make a good run the SEC tournament, it's really going to put them better chance of hosting a regional here, especially with their RPI being as high as it is here. Do you think they'll host a regional bear if with the rest of this schedule looking the way it is?
Yeah, in the preseason when we went through softball schedule, I think if I remember right, I called this a series loss, but Ole Miss is clear not the same team that they were last year. So, but I think if softball does continue to play well with their RPI, they should be able to host a region.
Yeah. What about supers? You feel like they're gonna host if they're high enough, like right now?
Yes, possibly, as long as they
Yeah.
don't have to play Southeastern.
Yeah. Southeastern's actually got a really good softball team this year. That's the that's the crazy thing about the whole entire thing. Um, I don't know what's going on with the Cajuns this year. Usually it's like a pretty good like softball rivalry between LSU and the Cajuns. This year has been lackluster. Last like 2 seasons for the Cajuns have not been the same program. I'm starting to get worried about the Cajun program as a whole. Seeing if we're on the actual right path there, but yeah. So it's tough. It's tough to win games, and it's kind of looking that kind of way there. So Bear, is there anything else you want to say here? Yeah.
As far as for softball, I'm not going to bore y'all with all the numbers because of the averages and the ERAs and everything else. Like, I mean,
So
I'm
yeah.
I'm just gonna leave it on a positive note because I'm actually feeling good about them.
Okay. Great. Great. Okay. Well, we will leave it at that here. Thank y'all for tuning in here to this episode here of Fishbowl Sports. Thank y'all for tuning in. Hope you have a great and wonderful week. We're gonna see y'all here next time. Next week here on the Talk on Highland here on Fishbowl Sports. Thank y'all for tuning in here to this episode here. Go shop our Fishbowl store on Walmart Creator and go click on our link for Team Whiskey as well. We have all the links in our bios across all our social media channels: Facebook, X, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. We're basically everywhere. Threads, even yeah, Threads as well. So thank you for tuning in. Hope you have a great, wonderful day. We'll see you here next time here on Fishbowl Sports. Have a good night, Fishbowl Nation.
Go Tigers! Good night.